Hi everybody, it's Tracy Lerner and
Peter Murray. Good morning, Tracy.
good morning, Peter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Lots of exciting things happening in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Well, you're lucky enough to be in London, so you're doing lots of research this week, you tell me.
Yes, I've been to a very interesting forum last night, a fintech forum at Google, and yeah, we can talk about that on a later stage. But yeah, there's a lot of new things happening in this world.
Yeah, that's why it's so exciting and it's so dynamic, and that's what I love about Bitcoin and the blockchain. I mean, the innovations are out there. People are doing things. If you've got a good idea, you can even get funding. So yeah, I think very exciting things. And I think the other thing is I'm absolutely chuffed that we're in this and we're in it right from the beginning. Because I mean, even though Bitcoin's been going for a couple of years now, it's only really gaining a lot of traction now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really starting to become, like I said, become mainstream.
Yes, exactly.
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so last week, these are the headlines that are on our Facebook page, and just to go through a few of them, last week was quite an interesting week as well. Bitcoin creator now backs out of Satoshi coin move proof. Craig Wright came out and said that he was Satoshi Nakamoto, and he said he was going to send some Bitcoin from an early block known only to Satoshi, and it seems that he pulled back. He says he's not courageous enough.
You know what? That sounds to me like total hogwash. Courageous to do what? To send the Bitcoin.
Yeah,
It's, you know what? He planned this whole thing and whatever. I think he was caught out in a lie. Actual fact. I don't know what the story is, but I read that he's very emotional and I don't know what nonsense. Oh, please, man, grow up.
yeah. So it seems that it was a bit of a non-event, even though the price did, go down a bit from 470, but it dropped and then it came back again. So I'm not too sure that it's that important who we know, that we know who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Craig White's going to have a difficult time in proving that he's Satoshi now, or having people believe it. So basically, I think it's a good thing for Bitcoin, and people should just put this thing to rest and concentrate on things that are important, and that's,
Yes.
how are we developing this technology, how are we going to use it, because it's an amazing disruptive technology.
Yes. Okay, so the Winklevoss brothers, they've got a Bitcoin exchange called Gemini, and they've just launched Ether trading as their second cryptocurrency. But apparently, it didn't do much for the price, so it didn't hike the price at all. And you're going to find out a lot more about Ethereum in the next week or so, Peter.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a few things, to get us some more information, and I'll report back on that. But yeah, I mean, Ethereum is I've really concentrated on the smart contract space, and they've built quite a nice system, and they've got a lot of institutions involved. So we'll see how that thing plans out. It's interesting, So that's just another new development in this whole space.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so there's quite a long article, and I suggest anybody who's really interested in the Bitcoin fee market just to have a look at it. But building a better Bitcoin fee market, the one thing we do know is that it's just so much less expensive than sending currency the normal way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole advantage of Bitcoin. I
Yes,
think the biggest drawback still is that when people have their Bitcoins, they need to find a way to spend it on normal things, and for that, they still, go back to the banking system via cards or via things, and that still costs money to convert that Bitcoin back to currency. But those fees are coming down as well. And with all the new cards and stuff coming out, there's more competition, so that'll become cheaper and cheaper as well.
yes, awesome. Okay, you're in London, so I hope you're going to visit the London Institute. Apparently, they use 64 monitors to demonstrate how Bitcoin works. I mean, definitely when I'm in London, I'm going to the London Institute.
Definitely. I'll see if I can make a video there and maybe put it on our channel of how this whole explanation works.
Yeah, that'll be awesome, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very exciting, I tell you.
Okay, last week we saw the end of Consensus 2016. It's a blockchain consensus conference, and they actually had there was 5 big news items that came out of that conference. But the interesting thing is the first one was actually about Craig Wright, and there was lots of skepticism about that. So clearly we've already chatted about that. Delaware sites on blockchain. This is a state that will be using blockchain technology to speed up the process of registering new businesses. And apparently, there's not a lot of government support along that. And so quite interesting there. The governor actually was there talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, Delaware has always been a progressive state in the US and one of the most secretive tax havens in the world, right inside the United States. Yeah, it's interesting to see that they're gonna start using the blockchain. Now, I'm just
Yes.
joking about the tax haven thing, but uh, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, depository of corporate registrations. I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of companies registered in the state of Delaware in the
Mm,
US, if not millions.
yes. Okay, and then a company called Chain announced a form of blockchain built specifically for financial institutions, and they've already got 5 banks on board.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, that's one of the things that the guys were discussing last night is actual, blockchain companies that are starting because a lot of the blockchain research and the blockchain stories that we have are driven by banks doing research or consultants coming up with, saying this is a good technology. The fact is, somebody has to go out and actually start a business that uses the blockchain, and this is what these guys have done. So that's very encouraging.
Yeah, great. Okay, and last week we spoke about this. I mean, I think this is absolutely mind-blowing. The Bitcoin computer, a company called 21 Inc. Revealed an innovation that will not only excite Bitcoin users, but anybody who actually clicks on a link, because every single time you do, you could actually earn Bitcoin. So this, to me, is one hang of an innovation.
Absolutely. I mean, and I can see a day when you've got on your operating system when you start up, you just have that program there, like you have your web browser and your email.
Yes, exactly. And also at this consensus, they had quite a few big name support. There were 2 in particular, and from the financial world. So you know what? More and more people are adopting Bitcoin and supporting Bitcoin,
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
including the media.
Bitcoin is mainstream.
Yes, Bitcoin is mainstream. That's for sure. So I think that was quite a successful blockchain conference. And who knows, Peter? We may be at the next one.
We will definitely be at the next one.
Okay, now we're talking about innovation, and NATO has started up a contest. So, NATO Innovation Contest seeks military blockchain applications. I mean, we heard about secure messaging just the other day, that somebody had come up with. So, they're looking for more blockchain applications and startups. So, interesting space this for anybody who has a brilliant idea.
Well, not only that, military application has always driven technology since the day the guys invented, gunpowder. It's always been driven by the guy that can make the next more powerful weapon and or to use the best technology in warfare.
Yes.
So most of your technology has been driven by military spending. So if the military starts getting involved in this, this can become really, really big.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good thing for us again.
Very much so. And supply chain as well. Supply chain startup Fluent raises $1.65 million in seed funding. So yeah, this was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, uh, supply chain lends itself very much to blockchain application.
And there's quite a bit of this going on in using Bitcoin in Europe. Peter, you were saying the other day.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are using it, logistic companies and supply chain companies for various things. So yes.
Exciting days. And this, everybody's concerned about the block reward halving. And here was an article, Bitcoin price and cost of mining production. And it's based on a paper that a chap called Adam Hayes wrote. And according to his calculations, well, back in last year, the production of Bitcoin cost about $247. And now he's projecting that when blockchain halves, from the 25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. Now that's actually the cost is going to go up to $494 per Bitcoin. So production is going up, and very much like gold, back in the day, the spot price had been several years behind below mining production cost. And yeah.
Yeah, that's going to have a huge impact on the profitability of miners. And that's why I'm not a very keen mining investor. I don't personally think that unless I would have my own mining business, I wouldn't invest in any of these mining pools or anything like that, because I just think the margins are under threat.
Well, you know what? I'm actually in a couple of mines, and and in fact, I joined those mining companies before I was educated, I can say. And I'm increasing. Well, I am seeing how the returns that I'm getting are getting less and less, because difficulty is there, and that's why the minute you hear of any kind of mine who's offering you huge monthly percentage, you'd really have to question that.
Well, Tracy, what you're talking about here also is not really maybe mining, but this whole concept of cloud mining, where
Yes.
people pull their money, and that whole world is just rife with scams. So, just take your boots and run.
Yep. Okay, is blockchain the key to user-controlled social media? This is quite an interesting one, because it seems that, social media there's some companies that are working with social media.
I think the big thing about social media, as you know, is privacy.
Yep.
People want to keep their private lives. They want to maybe post it on social media for their family and friends to see, but they don't want the whole world to see it. Or,
Mm.
or you want to keep your social life and your work life separate. Or you don't want people afterwards to come pry on your social media accounts and use that against you. And currently, you are, uh, if Facebook doesn't protect you, or or they decide to, for some reason, whether they're forced by government or whatever, to release your details,
Mm.
you've no recourse. So while when it's on a blockchain, nobody can interfere with how it was set up. So yeah.
Quite right. So an interesting space to watch.
I think the whole
Ah,
privacy
and yeah.
space and encryption messages. If you can encrypt messages, you can encrypt images, you can encrypt videos. So yeah.
Okay, Peter, this next article is actually talking about your home, the city of Zug in Switzerland. So this was a city to accept Bitcoin payments for government services. I mean, this is incredible. You're in the heart of Crypto Valley. So perhaps you should be talking about Zug.
Well, the thing is, Zook is making the news now because of this, but Zook has been in the forefront of fintech development, and there's large fintech companies relocating their head office to Zook because of the low tax environment, the fantastic work environment, and social environment, and and you know, it's just a progressive place to be. And you know, it's they progress, they really going to be the, as with everything, the financial center for a lot of fintech companies. um, I think you've got this magic triangle that runs from Zug to Berlin to London to Paris back to Switzerland in Europe, that are really dominating the whole fintech space.
Yes, very exciting. So exciting. And which leads us on to the next one, Bitcoin wallets. Where should we draw the line of trust? And in fact, yeah, in this article, they also mention Zug, you know, trialing the Bitcoin payments in Bitcoin for whatever it is. And yeah, and they also talk about open source vulnerabilities. I mean, we were having a chat about the open source stuff, and they actually say that the benefit of open source is that there are so many hands and so many eyes on open source stuff that you know, is it actually vulnerable?
Well, you know, this discussion has been going on when Wikipedia started, which is totally open source. And, you know, it's been proven over and over that the facts on Wikipedia are more reliable than the Encyclopedia Britannica. And exactly because of that effect, where there's so many hands, that if something is reported incorrectly, it's immediately changed to the correct thing. And that regulation by that crowd is, you know, is a very powerful form of self-regulation for open source that just works.
Yes, absolutely. So Japan is back in the news. Bitcoin operators await regulation in Japan amid push for legitimacy and widespread use. You know, the bill is already in the lower house. It was passed last month, and you know, it's up to the upper house. And interesting to watch what Japan are doing. I mean, they really are movers and shakers in this space.
They're making sushi off the Bitcoin market.
Yeah, well, they are, and actually China as well. I mean, China's doing, you know, they're doing a lot, and in fact, I think I saw somewhere that only 1% of China are involved in Bitcoin. So maybe it's a little bit more. But just imagine if the Chinese market gets really hold of Bitcoin.
Imagine if every Chinese decides to hold one Bitcoin.
Yeah,
What
just
will happen
imagine.
to the price?
Exactly. We go crazy.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one as well. Why Silvergate CEO is banking 15 Bitcoin companies. I mean, they've actually there's a chap called, his name is Alan Lane. He's the CEO, and he first started with Bitcoin back in 2013 when he started, you know, for personal, you know, his personal interest. He started buying Bitcoin, and now he's actually moved it to the bank that he's CEO of. Offering startup, you know, it says, yeah,
Well,
startup focused on products and services, opening up
I
a bank
think
account.
I think they've seen a gap in the market where a lot of banks were reluctant to open account for Bitcoin companies. This bank decided, look, there's an opportunity, and they grabbed it. And you know, they're embracing Bitcoin companies and basically telling them, come to us, we'll you know, we want your business and we're open for business. And the bank should be open to business for Bitcoin companies. Why is it different than any other company? Um,
Exactly.
you know, it's just that inherent fear. So good for this guy, and I think it's just a matter of time before all banks are going to storm and try to corner the Bitcoin market, because there's so many new Bitcoin companies coming, being registered and started. So you know, so yeah, that's as good for this guy, and you know, it's just more and more proof that Bitcoin is now mainstream.
Absolutely. And actually, this was a quote that I took from this article by CoinDesk. And he says, even if you think you're focusing more on blockchain, it might still behoove you to try and find a bank that is willing to bank Bitcoin companies so that you can take that worry away. So, yeah, you know, because we know that there's a lot of focus on blockchain technology and innovation in that space. So, yeah, very interesting quote from Alan Lane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice to have forward. You know what? He's a visionary. This man is a visionary, and he wants to get a piece of the action.
Well, the thing is, the traditional banks are all, doing all kinds of blockchain projects, but I don't see them closing down their own bank because, or their own bank accounts. So, the banks are just hypocrites in everything they do because they're protecting their turf. And this guy is saying, look, there's a new opportunity here to compete, and eventually everybody will come around and they'll compete in the space as well.
Yes, they will. So he's a bit of a trailblazer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Peter, you know what? This is another awesome Bitcoin week that was, and I'm really, really looking forward to some feedback from you in the next week with your travels in London and all the businesses and events that you're going to be attending. So, it's such an exciting time. So you are a lucky fish to be in London and Zug.
Well, it's very exciting, and we'll keep you guys, on top of the news. And to stay on top of the news and being educated is really the most important thing in any endeavor you're involved with. So, and we provide this service for free. All you have to do is sign up to our Facebook page. And sign up to our YouTube account if you're watching this video on YouTube, and be informed. We're going to keep you guys informed of what's going on in the Bitcoin market. We review the news every week. If you just follow this, you will have a nice understanding of what's happening in the market and what's going on.
Absolutely, Peter. So here's to a wonderful Bitcoin week, and we'll chat again next week.
Chat again next week. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Peter.